Guys, thanks for having me today. Sean Anderson, as he's just said, CEO and founder of Hoxo Media. Today I'm going to talk to you about inbound marketing, which might be a term that you're really familiar with, might be a buzzword you think you've heard on LinkedIn and other platforms, you're not quite sure what it is. Hopefully, by the end of this session, I'll give you not only an overview of what it is, but how it's relevant and can be used within recruitment agencies specifically. So, if I tell you a little bit about me first, so you know my name by now. So we are an inbound marketing agency that exclusively works with recruitment agencies, and there's a reason why we only partner with recruitment businesses. The reason is, my background is a recruiter for 7.5 years, and first thing I wanted to start with was to say why you should listen to me, which I've probably got less marketing experience than every single one of you in the room, or majority of you in the room, because 2 years ago today, I was the recruitment leader manager, all right? So why the hell are you getting a recruiter to tell you about marketing? Let's find out. So I started the business, Hoxo, in March 2017, with a vision to help recruitment agencies grow. Now, let me give you a little bit more of a story as to why and how I started the business. Hoxo was the name that was going to be my recruitment agency. So I used to recruit the insurance practice, Lloyd's of London market, very close to here, contract. I was a big biller, I was a top biller in a company called Venquis, which are on Fleet Street. And I was starting Hoxo, the recruitment business. Now, back in 2016, I was thinking, most of you should be familiar with the fact that when recruiters leave their businesses, especially when they're setting up, they've got a restrictive covenants period. So they can't actually call their old clients and candidates for 6 months or whatever's in their contract. So about summer of 2016, I started looking into my contract. And I read about the restrictive covenants period, and I thought, I don't want to break that because it looks a bit scary. But more than that, I actually really respected the bosses and the guys I worked for. They'd actually changed my life. I'd gone from a guy that literally had no money to someone who earned 200,000 in my third year in London and bought myself a property in like 8 months of saving. Like, I didn't want to screw these guys. I wanted to do something, but I wanted to be different. So I'd been really into Instagram and YouTube from a personal perspective. I'd never produced a piece of content in my life, but I remember watching a video once, and I think it was some daft video on YouTube where this guy was boiling an egg and it got like 11 million views. And I was like, how the fuck can you get 11 million views on boiling an egg? But I'm calling people one-on-one all day, trying to get meetings and candidates through the door. It's ridiculous. So I thought, I had this idea, what if I produced a video, awesome content, every single day in my 6-month restrictive covenants? Technically, I'll be speaking to no one in the insurance market. I'm not directly putting the video to any of them, but practically, I'll be probably speaking to every one of them. And I'll probably be coming out of my restrictive covenant 6 months later with more noise and more of a fame, if you like, in the market than before. So I went on a bit of a research journey to find out, right, well, if I'm going to do this, is any other recruitment businesses doing it? Startups, enterprise scale, I don't care. Is anyone doing video in 2016? And honestly, I couldn't really find anything. It was before LinkedIn you could post video natively anyway, so you'd have to use a YouTube link. But there was nothing there. So I went and met with a friend of mine who was working in marketing, and I asked him how I would do it. And it just, long story short, I got so fucking excited about it. I was like, I'm more excited about making videos and talking about how I'm going to blow the brand up than necessarily doing the job. And that's quite dangerous to quit a £250,000 a year job to start making videos and not want to do the recruitment bit. So I had this idea that if I could help other recruiters, other people, maybe similar to me or maybe a bit bigger in their agencies, do things like not just video, but propel their brands using today's tools. And the guy that I know I grew up with who was in marketing, he had a lot of experience, and we clubbed together and said, what if we created an agency that basically helped people like me with skills that he had? So that was the long way of telling you that's how we came about it. But so the reality is I never worked in marketing before. That's never internal, never for an agency. I was actually your biggest nightmare, probably. I was the guy that, if you wanted to produce a bit of content, you're like, oh, Sean would be really good. But every time I ask him, he just ignores me or pretends he's on the phone and leaves the office. So I did nothing. When I started the business, I had no contacts in the recruitment industry. I knew my colleagues and the guys that had left or been fired, but I didn't actually know that many recruiters. So I had no contact data, I had no connect. All my LinkedIn contacts were in the insurance market, which made sense. But I began investing in content pretty much every day, early 2017. That was one of my first ever videos. I didn't want to play the video because it's awful, but put your hand up if you've seen any of mine or Hoxo Media's videos so far. So probably got about half the room, which is pretty good. I recognise a few faces, so get your hands up if you've seen it. But ultimately, by just getting ourselves out there and putting out video, we started to make a lot of noise. And 2 years later, so we moved into a new office 2 weeks ago in Bethnal Green, and we had our second birthday. And here's some highlights. So last year we were a Global Recruitment Award winner with one of our clients, Harrington Star Group. I don't think Scott or Toby are here, but we won a campaign, the best candidate attraction campaign via social media. And that was a really big feat. Within a year we won an award. We've now got 2 industry-leading podcasts. So Hisham Azuz, who's hiding somewhere in the back of the room, hosts the Recruitment Rollercoaster podcast. I'm hosting the RAG, the Recruitment Agency Growth podcast. Between us, we're getting just under 10,000 listeners a month now. And mine's only been going for six and a half weeks. I personally get over 100,000 content views on LinkedIn every single month. And that's, when you look at Hisham and the rest of the Hoxo guys, we're probably reaching about 250,000 every single month. I've built personally over 25,000 social connections on LinkedIn and Instagram in the recruitment market. So then hopefully a lot of the people in this room and your colleagues, they're not just random connections. We get daily inbound leads. So literally every single day, Monday to Friday and the weekend, I'll get multiple messages from someone in recruitment saying, what do you guys do? Can we have a conversation? I think there's people in the room that we've already had conversation or we will be having conversation with. And that's come as a result of the content that we've produced. The final results, which I think your bosses would be interested in, we've actually sold over 900,000 for ourselves using inbound marketing, and that's from clients that have come to us. We've probably signed another 10% that I've gone after myself, but genuinely, that's just a really long-winded way of finding out who's interested in this kind of thing. Because I think the guys, hopefully, that are in the room, and there's an area of the recruitment industry I call innovators that are thinking about this kind of stuff. But how the hell do I know who they are? By just looking at a website and picking the phone. By putting out content, they're actually coming to me. They're showing their behavior that they are in that space. Okay, so now you know what I'm all about. Inbound marketing is the kind of methodology that we follow as an organization, and it's what we do for ourselves and what we do for our client base. So what is inbound marketing? It's that's the kind of official term from HubSpot. HubSpot are the leading marketing CRM provider globally, who have patented the phrase inbound marketing. But effectively, it's the process of using multiple channels such as producing content, SEO, paid social to attract certain types of people to your organization on a human level. So it's first and foremost, it's not about jobs. Okay, it's not promoting I've got a 35k salary job, I've got £500 a day contract job, like a lot of your recruiters in your businesses will be constantly pumping out. It's not that. All right, it's about thinking about the buying journey. So if you think about how you buy as a consumer today, from Uber to Netflix, they're always the examples people use, I'm sure you've heard. But in the last 5 years, the way you do certain things like watch TV or videos to move around a city has completely changed. I'll use an example that makes it really clear for me is when I was 17, I'm born in August, so I was the youngest person in my group. There's like 12 lads in Manchester that all wanted to go on their first lads holiday, right? So you imagine 12, 17-year-olds, well I was 17, they were all 18, in the local Thomas Cook. There was a lady called Brenda behind the Thomas Cook counter, and 12 was just shouting at Brenda like, we want to go to Greece, we want to go to Greece. This woman had to navigate us all. She got a lot of magazines out, she found us 4 hotels, and there and then managed to get us all to get our parents' signatures and pay in cash to go to Crete 9 months later. I'm like, who the fuck would do that now? Seriously, like you can buy a holiday, you can buy a house online. Like it's completely changed. And now that was granted a long time ago when I didn't have grey hair, but still, the way that things have changed in the last 2-3 years have changed massively. And the way that your customers as recruitment businesses buy and select the provider they're going to use has changed, and it is changing. And if the industry doesn't respect that, then they need to. So you're probably thinking that SEO, content marketing, it's been around for ages. It's not new. Why is that different? Well, you are right. Like this kind of funnel design here, I'm sure most marketeers have seen that, right? Awareness, get as much awareness at the top of the funnel, bring people through, convert them into customers via a sales transaction, someone picking up the phone. I mean, it's been tried and tested. However, HubSpot have looked at this system called the flywheel now, which is not, what it means is every single person that comes into your business or contact with your business via marketing has the opportunity to go through sales, and then as a customer, you can communicate them in an ongoing way. It's not a case of if they don't buy today, they're forgotten about. Best way to look at it in a recruitment business, how many agencies put a job advert up, they screen a lot of candidates, the 95% that aren't right, they never want to speak to again, probably don't even store them in the database or log the note. What sort of perception have they got of your brand? When a junior recruiter's rang them up, nailed them with questions for an hour, said absolutely nothing about the vacancy or the client or themselves, but expects to get everything out of them, it's not doing a lot for your brand. Whereas HubSpot and inbound marketing is about nurturing people on a human level. So I've got to get through the animation. So we're not reinventing the wheel, but it's scalable. It's all about driving revenue through marketing. So does it actually work? I get asked this question all the time. Does it actually get a result? Well, the short answer is yes. We've proven it for ourselves and prove it for clients. But to make inbound work, you do need to adopt the methodology. And there's certain principles in the recruitment business you need to think about, which I'll go through today. So the first thing is, in order for a campaign to work, you need to understand your goals. So the amount of clients that say to me, can we run inbound? We want inbound, or we want to get leads and sales through marketing. I'll say, cool, what are you trying to get to? What are your goals? Like, what's the forget marketing, what is the business trying to achieve? And how are you going to help them via marketing? And they can't answer the question. They don't know the NFI target. They don't know which locations they're going. They don't know what are their priority teams or underperforming teams. It's staggering how many people don't know their own goals, but the less they understand that, then the less they're going to be able to drive revenue from marketing. 74% of companies, this is from HubSpot, that were not exceeding revenue goals, this is a cross-section of industries, didn't understand the metrics that effectively measures how many people hit their website, how many people then go through some kind of conversion on the website, how many people then turn into a lead and a customer eventually. Most businesses that are underperforming from a sales perspective, that are investing in marketing, don't have an accurate number of the figures, the stats. So before I move on to this, if you think about inbound marketing, it's about gripping the attention of a target audience, right? Based on stuff that they care about, that they feel, that they're thinking, that they're going through at the time. The biggest problem you guys in this room have is that a recruitment organization has so many fucking audiences, it's frightening. Literally, it's frightening. My business is a bit more simple. We can go recruitment marketers, recruitment owners, and we're going for them. Whereas you guys have got every single team in the business has a different client base and a different candidate base. Oh, and then you've got the employer brand to worry about. How do we get recruiters in the door? It's a nightmare. It's hard work. I completely empathize with you. But my advice, which slightly off topic of the slides, is you've got to narrow that down. So if you're going to look at inbound, you have to know which part of your business is going to get the most value. So I would always pick a big ticket item. So if you've got any kind of product sale where you're saying, right, we're going to do a mini RPO, or we're going to embed a person on site, or we're going to do some kind of solution or strategy sale, that's a really good area that you can drive. If you can focus on that, you can drive leads through. The business will see a huge benefit. The employer brand is another one. If you know that actually there's no one focusing on finding recruiters and you want to build a talent pipeline, a very good one. But you cannot run inbound marketing across every part of your business all the time. It's impossible. So straight away, hopefully that can add some value. But If you are running inbound, does that mean you stop doing outbound? That's what I get asked an awful lot as well. So outbound marketing is effectively you're broadcasting your message. So job broadcast emails are a really big one. You get a list, you smash out a message. We've all received emails all the time. Every single one of us uses the internet somewhere else to give your email address over, and then you get spanked with emails for the next 12 months. There's a lot of money invested in it, but it's broadcasting. It's not specifically tailored. Whereas inbound works in a way that it pulls people to you like a magnet. So, as I said, the way that we put our content out there, we talk about things that hopefully recruiters are going through, which drives them to us, rather than just getting a massive email list and banging out content. But there is a time and place. It's not necessarily a case of one versus the other, because there's still some really cool tactics and ways you can get results from broadcasting messages or doing some more direct forms of traditional outbound alongside an inbound campaign. So research shows that events like today actually attract the most leads. However, when it comes to conversion of customers, you're probably going to get a better result from inbound, because it's actually what goes on after the event. It's that nurtured bit where once someone's been somewhere, how do you keep them engaged? Rather than just picking up the phone, how do you ensure that there's a journey for that person to still see and hear from your brand? So why should recruitment agencies invest in inbound? So many, me and Hish get asked all the time, is like, what do you guys do? Or what is inbound? How is it going to add value when we've already got a marketing person? And again, I don't envy you guys, because the stats today suggest that in the average UK recruitment business, there's 50 recruiters to one marketeer in a business. So what that means is there's usually a very lonely person in the business who's trying to achieve something that on a company-wide scale, without any real colleague support. 100% of recruitment owners are salespeople. I've still not met a marketeer that started a recruitment business. So there's typically no training or support or knowledge above. So why should they invest? Well, it's about giving your marketeers the tools to actually deliver a result and prove it. Marketing has never been invested in a recruitment business because they've never seen a result. They always treat it like a cost center rather than a profit center. What is the cheapest way we can execute marketing, rather than how can we get marketing to deliver our sales results, our growth plans? And that's why we exist. So the first thing that it does is it generates high value leads in a cost-effective way. So when I said before you focus on one space, what recruiters have that 90% of other businesses don't have is an organic reach, okay? If you think about a typical team in your business, let's say 4 recruiters recruiting into financial services tech, right? Sorry if that's not relevant, but it can't always be relevant. But the point being, an average 4 recruiters in a recruitment business probably have between 1,000 and 2,000 LinkedIn connections each, and those 2,000 are probably in a space they recruit, because you typically, as a recruiter, pick up the phone, and when you put the phone down, you add them if they're relevant, and you don't if they're not. So straight away, when targeting a specific audience, trying to get a result, you can use the compound effect of your team's brands and their networks, right? Whereas a lot of organizations who rely on cold calling sales, they've not got the LinkedIn ability that recruiters have got, and their LinkedIn skills and recruiter licenses and all the rest of it. So organic content costs 62% less than traditional marketing and can significantly increase your website traffic. Obviously, LinkedIn as a platform has a huge paid element that I'm not sure whether a lot of you have used, but we've still not used, I don't think, to its full capacity, which is why we're building a great relationship with them. But there's still an opportunity now on LinkedIn to get free organic reach. If you think about Facebook, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, you used to be able to, there was a lot going on Facebook. Now you put a post up without paying for it, and you just, unless your mum's on there liking it, you're getting nothing. Whereas LinkedIn, you still do. If you tag the right people and you get the people in your business to share it, a typical post from myself or Hish, if we share it and we tag the right people, we get between 15 and 40,000 views. And that's 40,000 people. It's crazy, right? So it will support, an inbound marketing strategy, and executed well, will support the efficiency of the sales or the recruitment team. So within the platform, within the methodology, there's a lot of lead management and automation tools that we can use to effectively attribute points to people that come through. So I will show you an example later of a campaign we ran and how it worked, but the way it works, if someone comes through, let's say we're running a campaign that drives 200 people to download your complete guide to hiring the next superstar, right? Those 200 people, if using a system like HubSpot, and you're nurturing them through emails and SMS and the different ways in which you can, if you run a campaign, you can attach and attribute a score to the behavior that each of those 200 people do after they download. So you might give scores for email, for website visits, for certain pages on your website visits. So for example, if they're going on your jobs page, you might give them a higher score than if they're on your home page. But effectively, if you get that right, you can set up a trigger where when a lead or a contact comes through and performs a certain amount of actions, like they open 2 emails and they go on your website twice, that drives an email direct to your salesperson that can read the context of what that person's done. So if you think about it from a BD perspective, that's really powerful. In my recruitment career, 7.5 years, never did I know if a client had ever been anywhere near our website or anywhere near our stuff. Whereas now, if any of you, if you're in our CRM, if any of you go anywhere near our website, me and Hish know in real time. And we're doing that for our clients. They know straight away. Then they click on the profile, they know, right, you've been on the website, you've read that, you've watched this video. So when they pick up the phone, it's like, what do you need help with? I know that there's context behind the call because you know that they're already engaging with you as a brand. And that saves a lot of time for your consultants, wasted cold calling people that aren't interested, but you can prioritize 200, maybe you've got 20 or 30 people that are actually most engaged. And ultimately, that's what it's about. It's about your team being able to focus on the highest value leads. And I mean, obviously my role now, I could sit there and just try and ring every recruitment company in London, but I don't, and I would never have time to do it. So we've set up a process where I've automated so much that every single day it's just, right, who are the top 10? Who are the top 5? And I'm spending time having really good quality conversations with people that are genuinely interested in our product with evidence before I have that call. And effectively, it's a warm call. It's a warm lead, and it makes life a hell of a lot easier. No recruiter will tell you that they don't want an inbound lead or a referral type relationship. Finally, this is the big one. Systems and tools like HubSpot, underpinned by a campaign within inbound marketing, allows you to genuinely measure your ROI in like the most simple fucking way that a recruitment owner can understand. And that's always the first and probably the question we get asked the most is, how do we justify ROI as a marketing team in a recruitment business? Well, you ain't going to do it across the whole company, like I said before. But if you pick an area and you focus on it and you drive content and you build a campaign, you can prove that that campaign led to X amount of people who view the content and this many people who hit the website and this many people who can give us their email and this many people have been on the website 5 times, and I can prove that Johnny picked up the phone and turned it into a meeting. And when you use a system like HubSpot integrated with your recruitment CRM, you can prove it. And it's everything from views to traffic right through to the end game. And it can be in one system. Now, integration of a marketing system, put your hand up if you've got a marketing piece of technology in your recruitment business that's not your recruitment CRM. 1. Wow. Okay. Well, there's room for it to grow, right? But seriously, most people we speak to don't. But when they do, the integration with Bullhorn or RDB or whatever you use is really important to get right. If you don't get that right, you won't see the ROI. But there's a very simple process of doing it. And if any of you want to know, just give me a shout. I'll talk you through it. But to be able to sit there and run a report every month and say, my campaign led to this many calls from this team, and I know that you've got this meeting, without having to run around the business, nudging people, going, how did that campaign go? Did you call that list? Because when I was a recruiter, I got given a spreadsheet. I was like, fuck that. I'm straight on the phone to the people I know. I'm not bothered. But with context from the right people and right content, it works. Again, sounds great. Not one client that I've been through with this has gone, oh, that sounds awful. But they always want to know how fast can we get a result. Why? Because recruitment businesses have always operated on a very, very short-term mindset of, if I pay £1 today, how many pounds do I get back tomorrow? Which actually, no marketing company in the world will ever be able to guarantee a result. But what they will guarantee, typically through inbound or similar processes, that it will take time. You're looking at, you can get some quick wins. The good news is you've all got data. So you've got lists of data, you've got placement data, you've got client contact data, warm, recent client lists, all sorts. So you can pick the easiest wins first, but effectively it will never happen overnight and it takes time. As I said, when we were putting out content originally 2 years ago, it was getting like 100 views, 50 views. I was at one point, I remember saying to my business partner, I was like, what are we doing? Like, we're stood in a room. We was in a Regis business lounge with a camera that didn't look like that, just shouting at this iPhone. And I was like, what am I doing? But now it's like, it's paid off. It takes time. But companies that invest and they automate things like lead management, they can see a revenue over time, over 6 to 9 months of about a 10% increase. And it is 6 to 9 to 12 months when you should be seeing results come in as a result of an inbound marketing campaign. So to give you a little case study, how are we doing for time? Right, to give you a little case study, and some of you might have come through this and actually seen this campaign went live. We did it in the summer. So to set some context, as a recruiter at heart, my kind of first thing to do when I went out doing business development with recruitment businesses was to talk to the owner or sales directors, guys that I was probably very similar to. What I didn't do is really engage the marketeers early enough in the process. And that actually worked it worked in some instances where an owner really got on with me and then said, right, you're in and here's the marketing team, get to know them or the person. But last summer, I actually won a client where it was Eames Consulting, a lady called Sarah Roebuck, who I don't think she's here, but when I phoned Matthew Eames, the owner, he used to be my biggest competitor as a recruiter, he turned around to me and said, I don't care, Sean, what you're selling. He said, speak to Sarah Roebuck. She's my marketing manager, she owns the budget, she'll make the decision. And I was like, wow, no one's ever said that. So I picked up the phone to her, got a meeting. It took a few months, but we ended up signing them and we've had a brilliant relationship with them. Similarly, about the same time, I had another relationship where I'd got on really well with the owner. We'd spent about 3 months planning all these campaigns, and at the end he hired a guy in marketing that came in and within about a week went, nah, that's not happening. He was like, you've not spoke to me pretty much, you've not engaged with me, you've not made any effort. We're still in talks with him about 6 months later, but I know I missed a trick. So what we did is we ran a campaign to attract recruitment marketeers to Hoxo Media's brand directly. Because again, I didn't want to sit there with Hisham and go, right, look at all the companies in London and just phone everyone's marketing department and try and BD them. I just didn't have the time or the energy for it. We wanted to get them to come to us. So we came up with a campaign called What We Learned from Gary Vee. Put your hand up if you know who Gary Vee is. Is that everyone's hand up if you know who Gary Vee is? Half the room? Well, a lot of people have said to me since seeing our content that, oh, you guys are like Gary Vee. And it's usually people that work in a marketing team. Most recruitment owners have got no idea who Gary Vee is. They don't really follow his Instagram. He's only just started investing a lot in LinkedIn, but he has got about 12 million followers globally and is probably the most famous guy in the world in social and marketing right now. So when we wanted to attract recruitment marketeers, we'd noticed that he was in London. So we went to see him, myself and Hish went to see him in September when he was talking about the latest trends for 2019. And we knew that what he was going to be talking about wasn't specific to any one sector. But we also knew that with the knowledge we had, we could listen to this. We actually waited 2 days to see him speak for 45 minutes, but that's not part of the campaign. But we knew we'd listen to his 45 minutes and we'd be able to translate it into speech that you guys in the recruitment sector would understand. So this was the landing page we created off the website. We went live on the 25th of September. Effectively, what we put together was an e-guide that was branded with Gary Vee. I don't think we're big enough to get done by his team just yet. But we wanted to get the ear of recruitment marketeers who wanted to know Gary's thoughts, but how it could help them. So over 4 weeks, we created that page, and then we put together about 35 social posts, from videos on the day when we were there to status updates pretty much every day, that we took little sections of this so the e-guide's about 10 different compartments, from paid social to content creation, and we took little snippets of all of it once we'd made it and turned it into social posts with effectively links for people to come and visit our website. We did some paid social ads we used about £1,000 budget on LinkedIn, and we did a little bit on Twitter as well, but we didn't find it as successful. And we got about 53,000 views over the 4-week period. What that led to, top line results. This was directly taken from the report on HubSpot. So we got 1,000 people to the page, so that's what, 0.5% or something like that. We got 261 people who downloaded that guide. They were all in the recruitment space. 181 of them were brand new, so we engaged some of the people we already knew, but we took 181 people that we'd never heard of. Again, how long would it take me to phone 181 people and get them on the phone? I mean, it's not feasible. We signed 2 customers out of it. A company called Josh Search, or a private equity recruitment business in Mayfair. They were the first we signed, and their owner was a guy who'd not worked in recruitment and was very familiar with Gary Vee. So when his marketing guy said it, he was over the moon with it. And for our business, that was really successful over 4 weeks. We're doing the same things now with our clients. So we might be doing a BD strategy for one, or a candidate attraction strategy for one, but they all follow a very similar theme of, first thing we do is we pick who are we going to talk to. So for us, it was marketeers. For you, it could be specific clients or specific candidates, but always make it specific, not general. And then it's about producing content that anchors around something people will download for a valuable exchange. And once that happens, there's a series of emails that you can send and effectively show your sales team who are the right people to call. So, to wrap up, why should you start inbound now? In my opinion, it's the time is that in 2019, customers have the power. You know that like online behavior's changed. So a little image there again about Netflix, but the way that we consume stuff today is way different than it was 2 years ago. In the next year, I reckon you've got to be thinking about podcasts, and like WhatsApp broadcast lists are going to be the 2 biggest things that are going to be affecting your businesses. But the way people consume information is changing. LinkedIn, in my opinion, is now the number 1 platform to use. Instagram for recruitment is just not taken off. Facebook, again, you've got to pay a lot of money to reach the right people. And again, people aren't on Facebook for jobs, for their professional reasons, and you've got to respect that. You've got to respect the room and think. People go to LinkedIn to think about their professional life, so it's a good place to be. 94% of people have discounted comms with a company based on a relevant promotion or message. So if you're sending out those classic job spam emails or CVs on a spam basis to big client bases, and you're being told to do that by your bosses, you're going to be pissing off about 94% of the people and effectively giving your brand a negative perception, which is really hard to claw back, no matter how good a sales team you've got. 51% of customers will never do business with a company after, I don't know why it says 51 again, but after 1 negative experience. Now we all know we can't please everyone as a recruitment business. We're always going to, effectively, every single vacancy, we can only please 2 people. That's the hiring manager and the candidate. We are going to piss off a lot of people in the process, but if your recruiters aren't doing the things they should be doing and they aren't savvy, then that's affecting your brand, and you've got to be doing more online to keep the small experiences as being small experiences and not the only interaction they've had with your recruitment business. If you don't go out there with content and there's nothing online, then that really shit phone call or that really poor experience they had is all they'll remember you by. These numbers are taken from the Staffing Industry Association of 2000. So 2018 numbers say that there's so many variations of this, but this is evidence that there was 28,000 VAT registered recruitment businesses last year. So 28,000 that said they were going to bring in over 85,000 a year to be VAT registered, right? So we're cutting out loads of small businesses, probably another 5 to 10,000 of real small startups that are in year one and weren't VAT registered. 9,465 of those were in this city. So if you're based in London, there's more agencies here than the 100 cities, the next 100 cities combined. It's the most competitive city in the world for recruitment. If you're based here, then you really do have more competition than you realise. And between 2012 and 2018, there was a 59% increase in recruitment businesses. That's not slowing down. Like, I don't know what's going to happen with Brexit. I'm sure no one in this room knows what's going to happen with Brexit. But I don't predict that's going to slow down anytime soon, because I know so many businesses that are just, all they're doing is diverting their attention to Europe. They're just recruiting the same roles in Germany and France and Sweden, and then they're not going to let Brexit stop them because they're entrepreneurs at heart. So there's never been a bigger fight for your market's attention, and in my opinion, and the results that we're seeing, inbound marketing is a way that you can start to win the attention of your market ahead of the 9,400 competitors down the road. Cool.